Welcome to the Browns Table. I'm your host, Craig Fountain, and we have lots of interesting stuff to talk about today. We're going to be joined in a minute by guest Tim Unkefer of Interview with Nobody and Brad Ward of the All Eyez on Cleveland podcast, and he's a contributor on USA Today, Brownswire. So that'll be fun. You guys can join too. Anybody can join the show. There's a link in the comments. Depending on where the video is at, there should also be a link in the video description. You click the link, and it'll bring you into the back room, and I can add you to the show. Bring something to the table, ask a question. If you have something you want to talk about, bring it to the table. So lots of news that we're going to end up getting into today. But first, let me bring Tim to the show. Hey, Tim, how's it going?
Pretty good. I think I got my things fixed a little bit. I don't know.
Got some technical difficulties ironed out?
I think so. I don't know. I'm not lagging or anything. No, we're good.
You look and sound good. And Tim has a podcast interview with Nobody.
Yes, I do. It'll be back here in a couple weeks. I did a lot. I finally took all the old episodes down, and all the new episodes that I already have pre-recorded will be coming up. And Craig has introduced me to StreamYard, which is really fucking dope. Pardon my language. I have a problem saying the F-bomb an awful lot. Might be my favorite word. I don't know.
Right.
But anyway, it's awesome. Like, it's really cool. And I'm excited that I'm going to, along the way, the idea behind Interview with Nobody is, to talk to random people. And Craig will be on it for sure. And basically just talk about life of, just an everyday life of a normal person. And then obviously there will be, some celebrities and things like that as well on there, just because everybody's just a normal person and everybody's nobody to somebody out there. So it'll be cool. And we're going to do it like this.
Very exciting. Can't wait till that launches. Like I said, we'll have Brad Ward with us. The first thing I want to do is I want to tell you about my friend's B100 brand. If you want some original Browns gear, you can easily buy it on Amazon. Let me tell you about B100. My friends at B100brand.com have really cool custom Brown shirts and hoodies for the whole family. They've got everything from professional illustrations to classic Cleveland dog pound gear. B100 is the ultimate gear for the ultimate fans. Be passionate, be loyal, B100. Check out their stuff at B100brand.com. That is BE100brand.com. And they are sponsors of the show. And we're excited to be working with them. We'll have some gear to show off to you on our next episode here. Let me bring Brad in. How you doing today, Brad?
I'm doing well. Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Absolutely. And Brad, again, is a contributor for the USA Today Brownswire, and he has the All Eyez on Cleveland podcast. I had a blast when I came on your show a few weeks ago. I tune in every week. I know you have a special episode tomorrow. Why don't you go ahead and talk about that for a second? Plug that episode.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. It looks fun.
Yeah, man. Big week, big playoff week. We got to, we had to do it big here, so we go ahead and we're going to have Jake Burns from the OBR on. He's one of the smartest guys in town, I think, when it comes to football. And then my boss at USA Today Sports Media Groups, the Brownswire, Jeff Risden. And then Ike Taylor, former Pittsburgh Steelers, is going to stop by the show, too.
That sounds like a blast, and I'm excited to tune in. And that's tomorrow at 6, correct?
Tomorrow at 6 o'clock, yes, sir. Tune in and go to YouTube and you can watch it there, Periscope, Facebook Live, All Eyez on Cleveland.
Outstanding. So I appreciate you coming on the show today. There is, I think to say there's a lot to talk about is a bit of an understatement. I do want to quickly announce before we get into the Browns talk, one last announcement. And then we'll move on. We held a giveaway for $100 cash and a Grant Delpit autographed rookie card. There's only 25 floating around out there. This is numbered 10 out of 25. Super cool. It's autographed. We had a week full of entries, and we have a winner via Twitter. And our winner is Susan Fisher. Her Twitter handle's at Brownstown76. Maybe if somebody wants to tag her in the comments, let her know. She's a winner. If not, we'll be reaching out after the show. We'll get her information, get her cash prize, and we'll get that card to her. So super cool giveaway. Stay tuned for future giveaways. We like to do that. This isn't the first one, and it won't be the last, so stay tuned. Here's the big news today. Kevin Stefanski is among the Cleveland Browns coaches that will miss Sunday's playoff game. We have COVID issues, in the house. It was news after news today. It seemed after 11 o'clock, it just didn't stop. We have Joel Bitonio and Kadero Hodge. They're out this Sunday as well. And then more recently, Rashard Higgins got himself into a little bit of a pickle. He got cited for drag racing, possible drug possession charges. They haven't announced which car that was cited had the drugs in the car, so we'll keep our eyes on that. That one shouldn't affect Sunday's game, though, but certainly we've avoided most of those things this year. So a little bit disappointing. Brad, let me get your opinions on what we're going to be missing with Stefanski here. I know some of it's obvious, but I just want to hear your overall thoughts about when you found out about this, and what are your feelings this week so far?
Yeah, man, it's brutal stuff. Stefanski, and first of all, I feel really bad for Bitonio. I mean, of all guys, right, to lose this opportunity. Secondly, Olivier Vernon, we didn't mention him, but he ruptures his Achilles. He was playing the best football I've seen him play the whole time he was in Cleveland. He was stepping up huge. So those guys are huge losses. When it comes to Stefanski, obviously it's a huge loss. I still think he's asymptomatic, I guess. He'll still be involved throughout the week, very much in the game planning. Where you're going to miss him is obviously on the sidelines. I mean, he's been a tremendous play caller. I mean, he's kept teams on their toes all year long. He's dialed up the right plays at the right time. But I do think that his preparation, certainly he will be missed, and it will not be the same, and they are certainly at a huge deficit without him. But his preparation should enable them to, proceed with the game plan in the same manner. There's got to be a set of, here's what I want to do in this situation, in this situation, in this situation. That he's planned for every single possibility, and I'm sure he's planned for the possibility that him himself was infected and came with a positive test. So they will go to that backup plan. I'm more concerned about the players on the field right now a little bit. The offensive line losing Bitonio, they really don't have a replacement for him right now. We can get into that a little bit and what they're going to do there. But as far as Stefanski goes, he'll be highly involved all week, I'm sure, through Zoom and from a distance. But I think that he'll be prepared enough. And, I sent out a tweet earlier. They should get some guys back here at the end of the week. I sent out what day they went on the list, and they're all positive tests. I don't think anybody on the list right now is a tracing, player wise. They're actually all positive tests. So when that 10 days is up, they all should be back except for the three of them, and that would be Kevin Johnson and the two guys today. 10 days wise. Now that's not accounting for any other testing hiccups or recovery from the actual COVID itself. We've seen what it did to Myles Garrett. I mean, he hasn't been the same since. So that's kind of where I'm at with everything. I think Stefanski, planning-wise, though, will have a good plan in place and is prepared for just about everything.
Yeah, and along with Olivier Vernon, Nick Harris was designated to go to injured reserve today. So
yes.
He's part of our depth on the line, so that's a big one. I was looking at your list, and the tweet you mentioned before. I actually had written that information down. I appreciate you for that information. You got Goodson, Bryant, Sendejo, Ward, and Smith, all possible, but Johnson, Bitonio, and Hodge are out for sure. Now, at this point, anybody designated for a close contact or test positive is going to be out for the game. We're past that line where there's any question about that. Now, presumably, we're going to have Michael Dunn starting in Bitonio's absence. There's also some Kendall Lamb speculation. He's never played or practiced at guard. At least that's what's being reported. Michael Dunn, I don't know if he's ever taken any snaps, so this is going to get
Nope.
interested. Do you have much of a scouting report on Dunn?
I don't. He's a first-year guy. He's played like maybe one snap this year on a like a heavy package at the goal line. He was in maybe just a couple weeks ago. That's the only play he's played in the NFL. That makes me want to shy away from that a little bit. He's a first-year guy. They did bring in Blake Hance a couple weeks ago, or maybe a week or so ago, from the New York Jets practice squad. He's a guard. He is also a first-year guy, has never played it down in the NFL. It makes me lean towards Lamb a little bit. You would think that would make the most sense. The biggest problem, though, is that they don't have their offensive line coach who could kind of patchwork this together, and he's not even available to be at practice. I don't know. Did they practice today? Do we know?
I do not know for certain if that's the case. Tim, do you have any insight on the situation? Let me know what your reaction was to this as far as Bitonio and Hodge goes, and then I have a guest I want to bring in for a moment.
I mean, right here, Landscaper 419. Do you believe this outbreak is from not delaying the Jets game? I don't want to make excuses. I told you I'm not an excuse. I don't want to do these things. But if you kind of go back to that, like, maybe they should have. Maybe they should have gave him a little bit more time, a little bit more testing, things of that sort. Because where I'm at right now with all the news that we got today and how we know this virus has hit people and how it, how easy it is to get, I think we're dealing with this throughout the entire playoffs. If we win this weekend, I think we're going to have problems the following game. So it sucks. And I feel like, but we're used to it at the same time. Like something stupid was going to happen to the Browns no matter what. So the game scared me on Sunday, and now this, and I'm just kind of bummed, I guess you could say. I'm still excited. We're in the playoffs. And we're going to compete, and it's next man up. But it's just like, gosh, can't we just go in and do it with everybody? And not have to worry about this. And even the Steelers, I'm tired. I want to see it just like everybody fully healthy, everybody ready to go. Let's do it. And I don't know. So there's just going to be excuses and stuff. So I'm just bummed, I guess you could say. I'll rant about it all night.
And then we have could Treader slide over and Harris take center. Harris was designated to the IR today, so he's out for the foreseeable future. So that's not a possibility. We're going to bring in somebody, Quinn. Quinn wants to bring something to the table. If you want to bring something to the table as well, you can just click on the link. It's in the comments of all of our live streams, and I believe it's in all of our video descriptions. Just click the link. It'll bring you into the show. You could do video or audio only. That's your choice. If you comment on our live streams, case in point, I can display your comment. We can discuss your comments or questions here. Let's go to Quinn. Quinn, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing great. Appreciate you coming on the show. What do you want to bring to the table today?
Well, to be honest, because I messaged you on Facebook, I think it was yesterday, about coming on when I found out about it, and that was before, obviously, we found out about all the COVID-19. The NFL hasn't officially called it an outbreak yet, but I guess you can make a case for it being one. And yeah, you guys were saying, it's kind of a bummer because I think, obviously with the playoff drought of 18 years ending this year, it's exciting now, especially for older fans. I'm only 21, so I was 3 years old the last time the Browns made the playoffs. Right. So it's obviously it means a lot more to the older fan base than for me, but looking forward to seeing them play the Steelers fully healthy this weekend. I think it would have been I still think it could be a good game. I'm not saying that they can't pull it out, obviously, but I think people are kind of bummed, not just Browns fans, but I think NFL fans in general, because this game it's Sunday night prime time.
We got the spot.
So I mean, I think it's just bummed for everybody.
That's a huge spot to be in, and I don't see any way this game gets moved, especially because they really don't consider competitive advantage to be a factor in whether or not games are being played. Brad, do you see any chance at all that this game gets moved, or do you think I'm on point there?
I can't imagine them changing it. I don't know what it would take for them to have to change it, but you're talking about TV money, and they're not going to mess with that. I mean, seriously. So if you were to move this game, you really, for competitive advantage's sake, once again, you would have to move almost all the games, right? So say you kick back the entire playoffs a week. I mean, that's going to screw up everything. I just don't see it happening. If it's just the Browns, they're going to be in a tough spot. I mean, this is how it's going to happen. If it was happening all over the league, maybe it would be different. I don't know what would have to happen to the Browns. I mean, 20 players. I mean, we don't know. This is only Tuesday, man. The game's not till Sunday night. They got to test every day. They got contact tracing every. I think you said earlier that the contact tracing timeline was up. Wouldn't they still be able to play if they were contact traced tomorrow?
So if it is for contact tracing in particular, if they're just a high risk contact, I believe they could be played. But the report from what I understand is they were actually positive tests. So unless they were to be false positives, then chances are we won't see those guys back. Now, here's something interesting I learned today because I didn't know this. They can actually test the makeup of the COVID virus that's in these guys' bodies, and they can detect whether or not, let's say Bitonio has it and Stefanski has it and one of the other coaches have it. They can tell if that virus was transferred from one player to a coach to another, or they can tell if none of these viruses are genetically related, which means that all these when they got these viruses, it was outside the facility. So that's another interesting thing. So unless we have more of an outbreak in the facility and they can see that and identify that and know that that's the problem, that's where I think this game would be potentially moved. But as of right now, they're saying it's outside the facility. So I don't see a chance for that. It's and again, you're right, it's a primetime game. And there's a lot of fans that would, even if they move the game, when are they going to move it to? They're not going to want to push playoff games back. They're not going to want to compete with the Ohio State game. It is a business. And that's what's going to be discussed. Go ahead, Brad.
That's my question, right? Like, if you're going to move the game, like illegal ham to the face, just in our comments here, said move the game to Tuesday. But what does that really do? Like, what does that really do for? I mean, what is that? How is that going to help the Browns really? I mean, what does that change from Sunday night to Tuesday? I don't know. Maybe you get an extra player back. You're certainly not going to get Stefanski back. So what does that do?
Yeah, and and he says it might give us an extra practice, but
that's a good point. But really, at this point in the season, I just don't see it happening, man. Unfortunately for the Browns, I don't see it happen. Now, on the other side of things, let me just say this, make this point. I think they can go in there because of this, though, more than they even were already. They're going to be written off by everybody. So you go in there free, loose. Baker should be free and loose. They should have nothing to play with, nothing to lose. And any football team that is playing with nothing to lose is a football team that is scary. If you go in there and they play loose free, the Steelers are tight, make a couple mistakes, maybe they jump on them early, anything can happen on this game. So if they're prepared and they go in there like, screw it, let's just go after them, man. I mean, I heard Jim Rome today, and Jim Rome loves the Browns, right? He calls them America's team, and he's always talking about them. He's like, the obstacle is the way. The only way is straight through, right? That's the only way for the Browns at this point. There's no working around it. It's straight through. And they're not going to tap out. They've been through adversity all year. and they're going to make the adjustments they have to make, and they're going to put a good game plan together, and they'll go out and they'll play. But they can play free, they can play loose, and that's dangerous. That's dangerous against anybody.
All right. So Nicole says, I'm so tired of fingers being pointed by reporters. Stefanski, are your players not wearing masks and following protocols? No, they play 4 hours on the field together with physical contact. Tim is right. They didn't go about this the correct way. Fingers crossed it doesn't escalate. She's certainly right. Hopefully it doesn't escalate. We could be in line for a lot of bad news this week, and I'm kind of mentally preparing myself. Hopefully it doesn't happen. Tim, do you have any thoughts about how much we're going to be missing Stefanski in this game? Obviously, it's a big deal, right? It's a really big deal. And Quinn, Quinn, thanks for joining the show. I see you bowed out there. I appreciate you coming on. Sorry we didn't get back to you real quick, but Tim, what do you think here?
I mean, it's huge. But I also think Brad's right, especially with Stefanski not being there. They're already going to go in there with a chip on their shoulder, but without their coach, they're even going to be even more, and we're so technologically advanced nowadays. Like, shouldn't Stefanski still be able to be interacting with them from a distance? Yeah. I think, and if he isn't, that's weird to me.
Yeah.
He can still be there play by play and technically, giving his insight and telling them what to do. I would think, but from a distance.
I think the rules are okay. So I heard this talked about today too, and I'll give it right back to you here, Tim. But I did hear this talked about today because this question was asked. Certainly, he can be in contact with them all week. He can even watch practice from Zoom or whatever, right? And all that stuff as much as he wants. But on game day, you can't have any contact with them because. I guess there would be an advantage. Think about, if you were watching the game at home on TV, there's certain things that you would see and that we're yelling at that they have no idea is going on the field, right? So there's an advantage there if that line of communication was open. I just don't think that. I think they're not going to allow that. I wish they would. Can he contact them at halftime? I don't know. But I guess that somebody said that was a rule today, and it makes sense to me.
It does, but you would think that people up in the booth and everything would kind of get that same information that.
Right, you're right.
So I don't know, but I mean, with it, it's huge, it's devastating. Coach of the year, I would have to think, 100%, and he brings us to the playoffs, and now he's out, and it's a bummer. But I think the players are going to come out. I mean, it is going to be the next man up mentality. They got a chip on their shoulder, and I think it's extremely important that but he's going to stay, I'm sure he's not. I don't know. It's a bummer. That's all I got. I just keep thinking about it, and I can't wrap my head around it. It's just I expected this. Something was going to happen. But
and we know that Stefanski's going to be missing. Okay, but let's look at the replacements here because we have two guys whose responsibilities are going to be elevated. Okay, the biggest change is going to be offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt. He's going to call plays on Sunday. There was talk in the preseason that he would be in the running to call plays. Stefanski kind of held this hand close to the chest, and it turns out he didn't end up calling plays. It's been Stefanski's responsibility. He actually played for the Steelers, the Chiefs, and the Bills from 93 to 2003, and he's been coaching since 2006 in the NFL. He's been primarily offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach for a number of teams. And then we have, as our acting head coach, we have Mike Prefer. Okay, our special teams coordinator. Now, this isn't the first time that he's had to coach an NFL game in the head coach position. Back in 2016, Mike Zimmer had emergency eye surgery, and Prefer was named the head coach for the Week 13 game against the Dallas Cowboys. They lost 17-15. And he's been coaching since 1994, since he was with the Navy. He's been with Youngstown State. He's been with a number of NFL teams. He was Special Teams Coach of the Year for the Vikings in 2012. These are guys that I feel like we're in pretty good hands considering the circumstances. Man, here's my question. Does our game script, our play calling, our strategy, does it change here, or are we just moving forward as if Stefanski's still there? Just different feet in the shoes. Brad, what do you think?
I mean, I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit there. Did you ask if Stefanski would continue to call plays after this, or if this would change going forward?
No, we have so Alex Van Pelt coming in. That's the biggest difference. Him calling plays. Do you think we'll see a different strategy, different game plan, different script, or do you think it'll be as if Stefanski's there on the sideline?
Yeah, I think it'll be very much Stefanski based, game plan. But certainly, I heard Jacob Phillips talk, and so real quickly going to the defense side of the ball, I heard Jacob Phillips talk, and he kind of slipped out in his interview like, hey, we got to get in this week, and we're going to change a lot of things. So, because we just played them, and because he presented the question about playing a team twice in a row. So, I mean, it looks like on the defensive side of the ball, they're going to switch some things up, and that's good. Maybe a totally different approach. I didn't like their approach defensively at all on Sunday, and I'll talk a little bit about that here in a minute. But as far as play calls go, I think Van Pelt will be pretty much following a Stefanski guide, right? Like, here's your situation, here's 3 plays to pick from, pick this play, right? Somebody jokingly said on Twitter today, script the first 60 plays. That's funny, right? But they will script the first 10 and then or whatever, and then he'll go from there. But fourth in whatever on this yard line, here's what I want you to do. Down by this much, here's what I want you to do. Here's 3 plays to choose from. Big play. I'm sure that that's what I meant by he's so into his preparation and details that I guaranteed he has it all laid out on a sheet for him. He'll make it real easy for him to pick the plays that he wants him to pick in the right situations, based on the personnel, because he'll be involved every step of the way up until the actual game. So it'll be up to Van Pelt to the hardest thing will be just getting a feel for the game, right? But it should still look like the same Browns, same approach. Obviously, I was thinking that you'll see a lot of wrinkles and some different stuff from what you saw against the Steelers the first time. That's one of the things that Stefanski does best, is set you up with one thing or beat you with one thing and then call the wrinkle off of it the next time, right? So that's almost an advantage of him coming into this game. Everything that you did and put on tape against them last week, you can work something off of that, and that's what he's been beautiful at all year. And so I would expect to see a lot of that. Is this light screwing me up here? Should I turn this off or on?
Either
No.
or, man. I think you're
No,
fine
you're good.
either way.
There we go. There we go. Sorry about that. I was messing with my head.
That's all right.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that they'll, it'll be a Stefanski-based everything. I mean, I think it'll look very much the same, but Van Pelt's got to get a feel for the game and go from there.
Tim, what would you
Prefer should be just be in charge
Go
of
ahead.
game managing, Prefer's job should be solely game management, clock management, time management, that stuff. And Van Pelt should be in charge of pretty much the offense. It would be my say. And they've got some other veteran coaches there, I think, as you mentioned. So hopefully they get their offensive line coach back, Callahan, back before Sunday. I would think that he would be off of, I don't know how the coaches work. I think it's 10 days, same thing. But nobody has even mentioned any of these guys coming off of the COVID list, except I heard Denzel Ward mention it, and they wouldn't comment on it. So I would think Callahan would be off the list by the end of the week, with the game being on the 10th. Pretty much everybody tested positive except for those 3 guys before the 1st. That's 10 days, right? As long as they're healthy, they should be able to be there Sunday night. Go ahead, Tim.
What was your question, Craig?
So, with all this being said, we do have a chance to kind of set ourselves up here from a play calling perspective. What would you like to see is there anything you would like to see different from the last game? And if so, what would you like to see different from a play calling perspective?
I mean, I don't know. we ran the hell out of the ball on them. I mean, that's something that I think we need to lean on no matter what. I think we've
Do we
learned
need more
that,
Chubb instead of Hunt?
I think we do need to see more Chubb. I do. I would like to see them both in the same backfield a lot more often.
Yeah, he seems reluctant to do that, and I'm not really sure why. He's only done it a few times, very sparingly.
You know, it's something that I'm interested in that. Like, why don't we see that more often? I would think that would be a serious problem for defenses. They're both so explosive to where they're going to be worried about which way it could go. I think it sets Baker up a lot more on the screens with the offensive line problems. I know they both can pass block. So, like, maybe we should see a little bit of that. I would like to see that, but, I mean, it's not something we've seen a lot of. One thing that I was thinking about this whole time, I haven't looked into it. What about Peoples? What's going on with him? Is he going to be making it out of concussion protocol?
We don't know.
I haven't
Concussion
seen
protocol.
anything on this.
Yeah.
Do you have any
I haven't
idea,
heard
Brad?
anything
No?
about it. No. I
You
just
saw the-
heard
Okay, so
Marvin Hall, maybe, right?
yeah, and we're missing Kadero Hodge and Marvin Hall could be there, but after you have Landry and Higgins, we utilize those the number 3 and number 4 guy a lot in this offense, and hopefully they'll get them back. Bryant is one of the guys that we could get back for this Sunday in the tight end room to go along with Njoku and Hooper. Real quick, guys, anybody can join the show. If you're watching and you want to chime in and you want to bring something to the table, ask a question, if you have a comment you want to share, or you just want to join in on the conversation, there's links in the comments, there's links in the video description. Just click the link. It's real easy to join. You'll come into a virtual green room, and then I can add you to the show. If you want to comment on the live stream, we can respond to and address your comments live on the air. Also, we're sponsored by B100 brand. If you want some original Browns gear you can easily buy on Amazon, then let me tell you about B100. At B100.com, they have really cool custom brown shirts and hoodies for the whole family, from professional illustrations to classic Cleveland dog pound gear. B100 is the ultimate gear for ultimate fans. Be passionate. B100. Check out their stuff at B100brand.com. That's BEE100brand.com. Brad, you mentioned you have some thoughts on some defensive stuff. Why don't we get into that a little bit?
All right. Yeah, so here's what I got, right? So I felt like, first of all, if Robert Jackson is forced into action again, he had played 6 downs before that game. He held his own. Like, he was not terrible. They picked on him all day, and I thought he was going to be terrible, but he wasn't as bad as I thought. He had a couple pass breakups, and he was in the area on some of those catches. He's not great, but if he's forced into action again, okay, we'll deal with it, right? I would like to see them play more. If they're going to play man, they need to play man too, with 2 safeties over the top. Because here's what the Steelers have done. It's been a trend. I noticed it, and I wrote it down, and I even went back today and looked at it, all right? So I was like, when I was watching the second half of that game, and they were starting to struggle to move the ball a little bit when they were down 14, they literally start calling like Madden all goes, and Rudolph just throwing jump balls up to Claypool, right? Like, I mean, deep ball, couple plays, deep ball, right? And I'm like, this is deja vu. When did they do this to us? They did this to us another time, right? When we, and it was last year when Hot Duck Hodges played. And I went back and I looked at it, and he threw a pass for, 35 yards, 40 yards, 41 yards. They were just throwing up jump balls. They do this to us. If they get one-on-one or man-to-man on the outside, they will just throw up the deep ball. It's something they don't do that often with Roethlisberger, but with the backups in, they put up the deep ball. Now, I did want to note, though, that Roethlisberger had his most, I believe besides this last game that he played in the second half, he had his most over 25-yard passes against the Browns in Week 7. I think he had like 4. So they did, extend the field vertically more than they have against other teams against us. It seems like a trend to me that they feel like a weak spot against us is to, if they can isolate a corner, even against Denzel Ward, they did it against with Hodges. They tried to do it, and they were successful a couple times. With James Washington, if you remember, he had that monster game. He caught a couple deep balls from Hodges. They just put him up, man. Jump balls. They don't care if he's covered or not. They'll just put him up and try to win those. They were scaring me half to death. That's how they got back in the game on Sunday. That's how they won the game last year with Hodges, and they were successful with Roethlisberger with that. In Week 7, I think that adjustment needs to be very evident and prevalent in this game, in that you have to have a safety there to roll over the top, right? Like, you can't be going. They did play so much 3 deep and zone and 4 deep zone. They were in a lot of man-to-man with 1 deep safety, and that just left that one-on-one area open. There's no safety that can cover that kind of ground like that. You need to have 2 deep, and maybe when it's Washington or Claypool or Johnson on one side, you need to roll that safety over the top and give some help to a guy like Robert Jackson in one-on-one. I would expect to see those adjustments from on the defense side of the ball. I also think hopefully Malcolm Smith can get back and Goodson get back. That'll make a big difference against the run game. I don't think they can run the ball. I'm not afraid of them running the ball against us. Roethlisberger's going to come out and do what they've done all year long. They're going to do what got you there, right? And what is that? 5-yard passes. 5-yard passes to Deontay. 5-yard passes to Juju. Everything's underneath dink and dunk, and then they throw the big ball deep against us for some reason. They like to put up those jump balls. Claypool was successful with it. But this should not be, I mean, let's remember that the Steelers, before playing us in the second half, maybe a quarter and a half against, who was it that they had to beat? The Colts? Yes, against the Colts. Before that, they played 4 miserable games where you couldn't even watch their offense. I mean, it was freaking pathetic, dude. They should be able to come in with a different game plan. You just played against them. You know what Roethlisberger wants to do. You got to find a way to get pressure on him. The most frustrating thing for me was, once again, I didn't feel like they were around the quarterback enough on Sunday. Now,
Real quick, Brad, let me ask you this. How did you feel about the way our depth performed when we're talking about the cornerbacks and safeties in the last game? If we're missing Ward again, what kind of shape are we in? Facing
not
Ben
good.
Roethlisberger. Right. Not good. But, considering the circumstances, do you think they did all right? Do you think that we're in a lot more trouble against Ben Roethlisberger? What are your thoughts on the talent there?
Surprisingly, and I'm going to throw this to you, Tim, because I saw you were just about to say something, but surprisingly, I thought that Mason Rudolph played really well. I thought he played the best game I've ever seen him play, and I don't think Roethlisberger is much better than that this year. At times, he's been really bad. So I don't know if the quarterback change is as big as an advantage as everybody wants to make it out to be. Go ahead, Tim.
Oh, with the Roethlisberger back in like 5 weeks ago or something like that, he actually came out and said something's wrong.
Yeah.
He said something's wrong. Like he knew like they're, and I don't necessarily want to say that they have it completely ironed out yet. Like they get into
I don't think
this,
so.
Yeah, the Steelers definitely could come out and be playing that, terrible football they were playing a few weeks ago. But you guys were talking about our secondary, and something that I saw that I, again, didn't really look into much farther yet. Greedy Williams had that post where he said, "I'm ready to play," or something of that sort.
He
Today?
essentially – no,
What was
this
that?
was
It was like a tweet.
it was on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said, I'm just trying to get back, and then somebody questioned him on it, and he posted a screenshot, presumably to a doctor or a trainer or something like that. And then people kept asking about it. He said, listen, it's not up to me. I'm ready to go pretty much, but it's up to the doctors. I have to be cleared. So as soon as they tell me as soon as they tell me that I can play, I'm ready. I'm here. I haven't heard anything else about it. Have you, Brad?
I just know that he had nerve damage, and that I didn't think he was going to play this year. I mean, I had pretty much said that we'll see him next year.
Right.
I'd be surprised if they tried to pull something like that.
Yeah,
Tim, what do you think though? Let's just play hypothetically here. If he did come back, do we bring him in off the street and throw him to the fire in the playoffs? I don't know that that's the right answer.
I don't think he comes in and he starts. I think he's a player that's dressing, and he gets thrown in there here and there, and see if he makes a play, type deal. I'm definitely saying he's not out there the entire game, but we're struggling with a little bit of that depth, and I think it's more so, like a playmaker kind of standpoint. We got some guys that are defending, but we got no one making a play in our secondary right now. Without Ward on the field, it's scary. like someone drops back.
Scary.
Someone drops back, no matter who it is. When they drop back and they're not getting pressured, I'm scared.
Oh, you should be, because I mean, it's a struggle out there.
Yeah, you see it in Baker's face. And I love the fact that Baker is so involved the entire game. You see him watching every little bit, unless he's got his nose in an iPad, looking at some plays. But you see he's always right there, which is awesome. But, that has to be nerve-wracking for, the team as well. Just like every time Parkey goes out to kick the ball in general, you're just like,
Yo, shit.
All right.
I got a question real quick.
Sure, real quick. One second, Brad. If anybody wants to join in on the show, click the link. You can come in, video chat with us, or post a comment. We'll address it. We're going to say it's the last call. We're going to be wrapping up here soon. So make a comment, click the link, join the show. Brad, what are you bringing to the table here, Brad?
All right, so we were talking about secondary depth and playmakers. I've been banging the table for this guy to get some playing time for a couple weeks now, okay? They picked him up, Tedrick Thompson.
Yeah.
Safety, played for the Seahawks, has experience in playoff games, and has played in that cover 3 scheme, was in the original cover 3 Seattle cover 3 press bail scheme that Woods brought over from Seattle, which they got, or from San Francisco, which they got from Seattle, which multiple teams run now. But Tedrick Thompson knows it. He played in it, and he's a playmaker. He's a hitter. He can cover some. I don't know if he could play corner, but, I mean, if you're just – there's a certain point where you just want to put your best football player on the field, right? Like, okay, corner, safety, maybe he's 10 pounds heavier, but he might do a better job than Robert Jackson in coverage. I don't know, Or maybe if they're playing a lot of zone, you can get him on the field. I would like to see them play, like, 3 safeties maybe and throw Thompson out there. I don't want, you know what I mean? And have, let Harrison and Cujo roam around a little bit, let them wreak some havoc up around the line of scrimmage or in coverage on tight ends and stuff. I would like to see that diamond. He showed it a couple times with the 3 safeties on the field, but usually it's Red Wine that comes in to play that 3rd safety, and he's so timid. I hate when he's on the field. He's terrible in my eyes. He's almost as bad as Sendejo. I don't know which one's worse. So I don't know. But I've been banging the table for Tedrick Thompson. Where's he at? Why can't he play? I mean, how long does it take to get a guy ready? I mean, the guy can play, in my opinion.
You're right, and he comes from a system that should allow him to get on the field quickly here. And he spent time with Kansas and Seattle. He's been in the league since 2017. I believe he's appeared in, just a quick Google shows, 37 games. He performs pretty well. I mean, you want experience right now. Some of these guys don't have any experience, and maybe he's not an all-pro guy, but at this point, you need experience back there. He's serviceable. It leads me to question if there's health issues or there's some other issue. I don't know, but there's got to be a reason. I can't believe there's this many I would have trouble believing it's just because they don't want to. We have so many guys, we have so many Ivy League guys in the same room banging their heads against the table on how to solve these problems. They have to have a good reason, I suspect. But I'm with you. I want to see the guy. The guy's got experience. Anything else you want to add to that, Brad? Or Tim, you got something you want to bring to the table?
I mean, one thing that I would like to bring to the table is the fact that no matter what we got thrown up against this year, we've held our own. Oh, over the past, I mean, outside of that last Baltimore game, well, no, I guess you could still say that Baltimore game because that was still, I blame Parkey for that one. but I mean, there's times where you see us beat adversity, and that's been not always, but there's been some times, and I feel like this could be one of those times. Do you guys feel that the team has that type of heart? Do you think that they have that mentality to where they're going to come in and step up and play this game in what could be the most adversity we've dealt with so far this season when it comes to missing some players and, our coach now?
Can we win this?
I
game,
do.
Brad?
I do. I think that the team has taken. I mean, let's be honest about what Kevin Stefanski has done this year. It's nothing short of remarkable. I mean, it takes years to change a culture in a locker room. He did it in 1 year. I mean, we've seen it. The culture has changed. There's a lot of new faces, but that's part of it. I mean, the biggest evidence to me of the culture change all year was when Higgins, right, wasn't dressing at the beginning of the year. And then all of a sudden he gets the opportunity because OBJ gets hurt, and he plays well, scores a touchdown, and the first thing he talks about in the press conference is, "Oh, I knew the coaches had my back." Last year he was fighting with Freddie Kitchens when he couldn't get on the field. This year he's complimenting the coaches even when he wasn't dressing. That's culture change. That's buy-in. These guys have bought in. They've taken on the persona of their head coach, who is steely-eyed and never changes tone no matter what. I guarantee when he got the news today, he was like, "Okay, what's next?" Right? Like, what do we got to do next to get ready? That's just who Stefanski is, win or loss. I think they take that same persona on. If you add some nothing to lose, us against the world, we're all we got, ourselves alone mentality, and go out there and play like that, you're dangerous. It's a talented football team with or without Stefanski.
All right. Let me ask you this.
I give him a shot.
All right, so you give him a shot. Tim, let me ask you this. If the game was played, we obviously don't know how the rest of the week's going to play out. If the game was played tonight, knowing what we know, who are you taking? Do the Browns still have a chance?
I mean, I'm going to take the Browns no matter what. I mean, I still think we can win. Like, I don't doubt that we can win this game. So, like, I feel like we can. It's just not – I'm not going into it as confident as I would if we were, all the way healthy and right. But I think we can. I have a lot of faith in Baker. Towards the end of that game, you saw a fire that was like, enough's enough. We got to end this damn game. Like I have to do this. I think we're going to have a couple more players that are going to do that and kind of put a little bit more weight on their shoulder, and we're going to see that little bit of extra oomph out of some guys that we never saw. Because, like Brad was saying, people have bought in, and they've seen people like Baker, that in Chubb and Hunt, like these guys that are stepping up and making these massive plays for us at times that are 100% winning us the game. Because, we can say we're a team, we win as a team, but at the same time, there's been games multiple times this year that one player won us that game in certain circumstances.
I agree with Big Shax here.
I was just going to say that's a great comment.
He really he looks for Baker to really put this team on his back, win or lose, like he did against Baltimore. And at the end of the day, we got to remember the same players are playing. As far as we know, it hurts to have Bitonio out, but when it comes to Baker and Chubb and Jarvis and Garrett you know, we certainly have holes. We have guys that we want on the field that can't be. But these guys are smart enough to be able to put the game plan together, to have a strategy for calling the plays, to have situational awareness from a coaching perspective. And this offense has started dialing in well enough that I think that they can overcome this adversity. Now, we lost to the Jets without a wide receiving core. That's a problem. If we were to lose 4 wide receivers again, that's a problem. If we can't beat the Jets there, I don't think we beat the Steelers there. But I think that if the game was played tonight, knowing what we know right now, I'm still picking the Browns as well. And that's a great comment, Big Shax. Brad, did you have anything you wanted to add before we wrap up here?
Yeah, just a couple more thoughts I was having. So, you know, I think they'll go, the more we've talked and just talking with you guys, I think that they will go with Lamb and try to move him over. To me, that seems to make more sense than throwing a guy that hasn't played an NFL down out there. We'll see, though, but that seems to make the most sense to me at guard. Now, you've seen this zone run scheme that Stefanski brought kind of change over the year into like a zone run with your normal pulling guards and everything else, right? They've kind of turned it into a hybrid where they do whatever is going to work against you. They try a lot of different stuff in the run game. They're very versatile that way. So maybe they get back to more of that zone, a lot of the straight zone run where your guard's just snapping and running in one direction. You create a lot of holes that way. That's an equalizer on the offensive line in the run game, in my opinion, as opposed to straight up trying to beat Stephen Tuitt and Cam Hayward up front, right? As far as pass protection goes, I'm sure they'll scheme up some pass pro. They'll have some extra guys in. This is what Stefanski's good at, right? Is getting down in the dirt, drawing up something that'll work, that gives Baker time. I expect Baker to have a huge game. I thought he struggled in the first half against the Steelers last week, but his second half, I thought he was excellent and really started to make some plays. I think if he builds off of that and the way he's played in the second half of the season, if he goes in there with that nothing to lose attitude, then he will be on fire, and that's what you can ride. Like, if you get a hot Baker Mayfield like we saw against the Giants and the Titans, we very much have a chance to win the game. If he comes out throwing seeds like he has been in some of those games, they very much have a chance because he just makes plays, and he's one of the best in the league at that. When he gets hot, you know what I mean? We've seen him put the team on his back before a couple times this year. One of the biggest things we needed to see, and we saw it. So I think that, hey man, I'm positive. We don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, but as for right now, what we know, I know that Stefanski is a planner, and I know that he'll have them ready no matter what, whether he's on the sideline or not. And I think that they will make the adjustments necessary to keep in the ball game, and then it's just about making big plays in big moments. Playoff games are won and lost every year on a couple of big plays. So the ball bounces your way, you never know, right?
Absolutely.
I agree.
Tim, any closing thoughts here?
Yeah. It was funny, OBJ posted, something about Stephen Curry. He said, oh no, it was James. If the Golden State Warriors get James Harden, that would just be unfair or something like that. But I was just wanting to read the comments, and there was so many comments in there of people saying, have fun with Cam, we're taking Gilmore. No. And I don't know. I don't like that idea at all.
No.
Like, I'm just saying, like, it was interesting to just how many people were saying it. And I'm like, no, that's not going to happen.
Wait, so you're saying, like, he would get traded to the Patriots?
Yeah,
for
people
Gilmore?
were saying, yeah, that's what people were saying, like, in this whole comment that he made today. Like, just throughout the comments, they were saying that we were going to trade him for Gilmore in the offseason.
They should have been saying, have fun with Stidham. I don't think Cam's going to be there.
No, Cam's going to be lucky to have a job next year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At the same time, like I think New England will just ship off Gilmore cheap to get rid of out of that contract.
They might go into full rebuild mode over there, but
yeah,
that's their problem now, not ours.
Yeah, but I thought it was pretty funny. So that was the only thing I had, was the fact that so many people were harassing him, saying he was gone for. But I mean, at least they were throwing somebody out there that would, you know, fix a problem that we have.
I'm sure.
Do you guys have thoughts?
Go ahead.
Do you
Brad.
guys have thoughts? Sorry, I'm sorry,
you're
Craig.
good.
I keep interrupting you. That's my bad, bro.
No, go ahead.
Here I am. It's your show, and I'm like talking over you and stuff. Sorry about that. So you guys have thoughts on OBJ's future with the Browns, Tim?
Go ahead, Tim. You can go first.
No, I want him here. I do.
Okay.
You know, the fat guy, actually, you know, he posted a thing that was, you know, on Twitter that said, you know, was talking about the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Now, I understand Baker's not Aaron Rodgers, okay? I understand that, but
Yeah.
We're not saying he can't be, but I'm just saying that in the way that then they had Aaron Jones and I forget what's the other running back that Green Bay had. I'm drawing a blank right now. AJ Dillon. So those guys both ran like for a total of like 220 something yards. You also had Devontae Adams, who had like 150 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. And then you also had, you know, Scantling or somebody who I don't even know who it was, that was a nobody, but had like 7 catches for like 70 yards. So what we have in a Hunt and a Chubb and a OBJ and a Jarvis Landry and a Baker, I could see it being like that. I could see all those guys thriving together, and I want to see it happen. I think the beginning of the season, there was still a lot of things. We all talked about Baker having, like, he was just locked on somebody. I think he's learning. At the beginning of the season, maybe he always thought OBJ was up here and, you know, he was still down here. That's Baker. He has owned that team. Baker knows that's his team now. I don't see him being locked on OBJ, and I think it just becomes that Devontae Adams type feel to where, you know, Devontae Adams gets targeted a ton, but at the same time, it's just because he's open, because everybody's not focused on him, because Aaron Rodgers isn't focused on him. It's just like, sooner or later, this guy's going to burn you, and I'm going to see it.
I thought the same thing, Tim, when I was watching Josh Allen and Diggs play together. And I'm like, okay, so this guy came in, and these two are just tearing it up. Diggs is open on every play. Allen's looking for him, throwing him seeds. I'm like, dang, man, that's exactly what Baker and OBJ should have been like up to this point. But they, for some reason, they haven't got there. I understand how it could get in his head. I think it's a very complex issue. It's not just, hey, talent makes you better. I think there's a lot of layers to that situation. I mean, just the way you think about OBJ when he's on the field, right? Like, I get antsy when he doesn't get touches after 2 series. Imagine how Baker feels, right?
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
So that affects him. I think he plays better with him not there right now. I think that was pretty evident this year. Now, has he moved on from that? Has he grown, or will he regress back to that? I mean, that's something only the future can tell us. But I wouldn't be pissed if they traded him. I mean, honestly.
I mean, I'm not going to be super mad, but I mean, I don't want to see it happen.
I don't want to see it happen either. And you know, the more talent you can have on the team, the better, in my opinion. And it still has to work. There still has to be a chemistry, but I put this one more on Baker. And I'm a Baker apologist, so this takes a lot from me. I'm going to put this one more on Baker. We have kind of talked about this in the show before. I think that it's up to Baker to be in a position mentally where he can get past trying to force the ball to OBJ. If OBJ wants to throw a fit on the sideline, I'm not real happy about that either, but at the end of the day, Baker's got to throw the ball to whoever's open. If OBJ wants the ball, it's OBJ's job to get open. If he's open, we don't have to force him the ball. But if he's not open and Baker's forcing the ball to him, that's a Baker problem. Baker's got to be he can't put anybody else on this team on a pedestal. He's got to be at the top of the mountain. He's the king of the hill. He is king of the castle. It's his team. he can't let anybody be bigger than him. Now, maybe Baker doesn't have it in him. If that's the case, I'm sure Stefanski and Barry will be having that conversation. Hey, Baker, I don't know if we're going to get Baker past this mental barrier. Maybe we do need to move on from OBJ. Hopefully we get something in return for him. I'm not super upset if we get rid of him, but new system just like everybody else. He was injured earlier in the year, and our passing game as a whole didn't really turn on until the midway point in the season. Who knows what OBJ would be doing right now? He could be lighting the world on fire. We don't know. Just when Baker started to click, maybe OBJ would have started to click too. I don't know. That's all. We'll never know. So I have a couple different feelings there.
Next
Can't
year.
tell, but
Next year we'll see it.
I don't know. We'll see. If they move on, I'm not super upset. If you gave me a choice between Landry and OBJ, I'm taking Landry. But I do think that, I'd like to have him. But if not, then it is what it is. At this point, I think I trust Stefanski and Barry to know what to do.
And I think we see OBJ one more year. At least.
You're probably
one more
right.
year. They're giving it to him. Yeah, they're giving him another year, 100%.
You're probably right, because you would be selling low on his value, and I just don't think that they would want to do that, right? Like, his value is low. He's coming off an injury. You wouldn't get much in return for him. If you're going to sell on him, you would want to sell when he's, active and playing and maybe make an impression, but you'd be selling really low on your investment. Big Shaq's asked about left guard down there in our thing, and I was just going to say, we had already talked about it. Just for him, though, I was going to just tell him that I think it'll be Kendall Lamb.
Okay.
Over the inexperience.
Yeah,
I think they'll move him over and try to get him ready for Sunday night.
Kendall Lamb, that'll be certainly interesting to see if they make that move. Of course, Dunn is listed on the depth chart, which is why I labored him a presumed starter in the earlier graphic. With that being said, we don't really know what's going to happen. I don't think that this was part of anybody's plan. So Lamb carries the experience. Even though he hasn't had a lot of experience as a guard, he certainly has playing time and playing experience. So, Brad, that wouldn't surprise me at all. I don't know which way it's going to go, but it wouldn't surprise me either way. So it's going to be Dunn or Lamb.
Year guys. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other guy's probably a long shot, right?
Yeah, or Hans. And there's a bunch of guys. They brought in another guy's name, starts with an O, I can't even pronounce.
Yeah.
So, I just can't imagine running a guy out there on Wild Card Weekend under the bright lights that's never played a down against Cam Hayward and Stephen Tuitt on that front and asking him to block them and protect your franchise quarterback. I just think that I know the transition is difficult from tackle to guard, but it's harder from guard to tackle for sure. So,
yeah, hopefully, these guys will get enough reps in this week to, hopefully they're not walking through this Sunday morning in a parking garage, but, hopefully they get these guys prepared, and it'd be really nice to have Callahan back, because if there's one guy you want getting these guys ready, it's Callahan, and hopefully he's back in good health. We're going to end the show there. Brad, appreciate you joining. Tim, appreciate you joining. I had a lot of fun today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And Brad, good luck on your show tomorrow. I'll be tuning in. Sounds like you have a great show lined up. If anybody wants to tune in, we generally do one show a week. It's normally on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock. We do throw some spontaneous Browns Roundtable discussions out there. We might just randomly go live and ask you to join. Make sure that you're following us on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. Subscribe there so that you're notified when we go live. Check out our sponsor, B100brand.com, BE100brand.com. They've got awesome gear, and I'll be able to show off some of their gear in the next episode. Hopefully we'll get to talk again before Sunday, but if not, go Browns. Have fun, guys.
Go Browns.
Hey, somebody's phone's ringing. Those shirts are sick, dude. I like those shirts, or at least the one you showed the other day with the Pittsburgh bone in the dog's mouth.
This one here,
there
yeah,
you go.
Absolutely.
Like
and
that.
I'm hoping to. They've got a couple great designs if you check out their shop, and they ship through Amazon Prime, which is super nice. so you get your gear super fast. If you check out their website, they've got a ton of good designs, and they're launching them daily as we speak, especially with the playoff stuff that's coming up. So great company. I've talked a lot with the guys, and I love their designs. They do some great work over there, so I'm excited to be able to show that off. So
That's sweet.
Yeah.
absolutely. So we're gonna jump off until next time.